Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to break down how to find love and relationships in your birth chart. I get asked this question all the time. How do I find my person in my birth chart? Well, you can't really find a person in your birth chart, but what you can see in your birth chart are your relationship patterns, what you're attracted to, who might be attracted to you. There are a lot of layers in analyzing a birth chart for these types of things, but I'm going to give you a little bit of the basics. So, starting with your ascendant, which is your rising sign. If you look at your birth chart, grab your birth chart. If you don't have it, head over to astro.com or astroseek.com and print out a copy of your birth chart and take a look at these areas that I'm going to explain. So, your rising sign is very important in astrology, and that is the sign that is actually on when you're looking at the chart on the left side of the chart, going straight across, kind of cutting it in half in the middle. And that rising sign is how you are seen in the world. It's how you express yourself. It is you and how you show up in the world. So it's your outer personality. And that is what people are going to see. So that would be what people, any relationship you might be forming, are going to be initially attracted to. So on the opposite side of that, the left side of the birth chart, straight across, we have the descendant and the cusp of your seventh house. The seventh house is the house of relationships and partnerships. And so that line, wherever the cusp, it's called the cusp, but when you go from house to house, it depends on what house system you're using. I use Tropical Placidus, which is Western astrology. Some people use whole sign houses, but whatever sign is on the cusp of your seventh house, and it may not exactly line up with your descendant, which is okay. Pay attention to the actual sign on the cusp of your seventh house. That sign is the sign of what you might be attracted to. So notice it's exactly opposite from how you show up in the world, your ascendant. The descendant is exactly the opposite. So there really is something to the saying that opposites attract. So take a look at the sign that is influencing the cusp of your seventh house. So as an example, I'm a Gemini rising. So that's my ascendant. And the opposite sign of that, which would be the other, so that would be the rising is me, the other side, the other, is Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is a fire sign. It's a mutable fire sign. Sagittarius is it's a very strong and wise energy. Very strong and the vitality physically is just very strong. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, so Jupiter is big. So it'd be a very, possibly if we're talking about physical attraction, it could be a very big and athletic type of person. If we're talking about how they express intellectually, it would be somebody that is just very wise and even educated, or at least interested in learning things that would affect the higher mind. So philosophy would be one thing. Jupiter also can be arrogant. It can be a little bit too big for itself. It can be a little bit cocky at times. And that's Sagittarius and Jupiter. Jupiter also rules foreign lands, so could be somebody who is of a different nationality. That's an example using my ascendant and descendant. Now, when you take a look at the planet that rules the sign on the cusp of your seventh house, again, the example that I used is Jupiter. from there, you go and you look in your chart and see where Jupiter is in your chart. And that is even can give you even more information on where you might run into somebody and how it might be expressed. Now, Jupiter for me falls in the 12th house, and I'm like, oh, well, that's the house of what's hidden. But it isn't only the house of what's hidden, it's the house of my subconscious. It is the house of that also underneath Pisces rules. So I might even be attracted to, or somebody very Piscean attracted to me. I might find somebody and not know where they're at, that's, in a foreign land somewhere. Or if I were to get married to somebody, we might live in a foreign land. That's a tough place to have your seventh house ruler is in the 12th house, because it does make it a little bit elusive with the Pisces energy. But if we're talking about opposites, the opposite of Pisces is Virgo. So I might be attracted to, or a Virgoan type person might be attracted to me. Now, interestingly enough, in my personal experience, I married a Virgo. So that holds true. I've never actually dated a Sagittarius, but it doesn't mean that you will always date or meet the exact sign, but again, could be the expression of that sign. Like I explained, the characteristics. So for Jupiter, it could be a very Jupiterian type person. So I have dated quite a few people that are physically strong, that are also spiritual and wise in some ways, that are very witty, yes, sometimes arrogant, and that doesn't bother me. I always say, when it comes to that, it's like you can be an asshole if you want to, but you better know what you're talking about. And that could be an expression of Sagittarius and Jupiter. Of course, yeah, I'm just kidding, but I'm kidding, but not kidding. That is true. I have said that many times in the past, but it's a good example for description purposes. So that's where you can look to get started in your birth chart to see what your relationship patterns might be. You might find that the sign on the cusp of your seventh house, that you actually have dated that sign many times, or that the expression of that sign or the description of the planet that rules that sign, you actually might have come across those qualities many times throughout your life and relationships. And yes, that would be love relationships, but it would also be any kind of relationship that is more than just casual. So even a really good friend or a business partnership, anything like that, seventh house. But most people that ask me this question are interested in love relationships. Of course, there are a lot more layers to it than this. You would go into looking at where your Venus sign is, which is how you express love and how you like to experience love, and so on and so on and so on. Believe it or not, there is a story in your birth chart that can explain your relationship patterns, where you might find the person or people that you're looking for, and then going further, looking at Synastry charts, which is an overlay of one person's chart on top of your chart, that actually will show how those energies express, possibly what the overall purpose of the relationship is, and how you might work through even difficulties, being able to use the positive to offset the challenges. There are also composite charts that you can put together that are actually the chart of an active relationship that has started. It's got to be started, and have grown a little bit of legs. But a composite chart can show you the relationship itself and what it needs and how it will function and be seen in the world, and what the overall purpose is for that. So it's absolutely fascinating when you take a look at these types of patterns in astrology, and you realize that, hey, that actually is my story or similar to my story. So hopefully that is helpful. Like I said, it's a question I get asked all the time. If you're interested in learning more about your love language and relationship patterns or a specific relationship, I'd love to read for you. Get a hold of me at GeminiFire65 at msn.com. The website will be up soon, which will be joviestar.com. It'll be JOVESSTAR.com. I will see you next time. Let me know if you like this video, if you're interested in instructional videos explaining astrology concepts. I plan on putting out a lot more. And I will, I'll see you soon. In the meantime, may the stars forever be in your favor. Take good care.